When you think of C.S. Lewis, you might think of the 20th century's greatest Christian apologist. You might think of Mere Christianity, the Screwtape Letters, the Chronicles of Narnia, these amazing stories of faith. But did you know that C.S. Lewis once described himself as the most reluctant convert in all of England? In this video, we're going to talk about C.S. Lewis's movement from atheism to theism, and finally, to the moment when C.S. Lewis met Jesus on the sidecar of a motorcycle. Now, this is all about the leap of faith, right? And there's a great phrase, leap of faith, because it means you're losing control. You're taking a leap. You're jumping out of one safe space, so to speak, where you feel there might be solid ground, into the unknown. And this is the leap that C.S. Lewis made when he jumped from atheism to theism, though he still had a few more jumps to make. Let's share that moment, however, from his autobiography, again, Surprised by Joy, where he's felt the Lord now pursuing him. You must picture me alone in that room in Magdalen College, night after night, feeling whenever my mind lifted even for a second from my work the steady, unrelenting approach of him whom I so earnestly desired not to meet. That which I greatly feared had at last come upon me. In the Trinity term of 1929, I gave in. By the way, I love that's the Trinity term. That's what they use, the language at Oxford, Trinity. I admitted God was God, and I knelt and prayed, perhaps that night the most dejected and reluctant convert in all England. So as he's making this leap, this act of trust, you might say, he's doing it begrudgingly. And that's all right. The Lord meets us where we are to take us where he wants us to be. But picture Lewis here admitting God is God. Now, the Lord wants more. We know that God isn't just pure spirit and we access him by the mind, but that the Word has become flesh. Now, this further leap of faith happened in a really wild way for C.S. Lewis. He and his brother Warren, grew up loving animals, loving writing stories and make-believe about talking animals. This, of course, becomes for C.S. Lewis the Chronicles of Narnia later in life. So when they were adults, and this is kind of around the time of Lewis accepting God as God, a new zoo was made just outside of London, and it's called the Whipsnade Zoo. So on a nice day, summer day, Warnie gets out his motorcycle with the sidecar, and he says to his brother Jack, jump in the sidecar, we're going to head to the zoo. Just picture C.S. Lewis in the sidecar of a motorcycle. That alone is awesome. So it says from his autobiography, I knew very well when, but hardly how, the final step was taken. Remember, theism to accepting Jesus as a Christian. I was driven to Whipsnade one sunny morning. When we set out, I did not believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And when we reached the zoo, I did. I had not exactly spent the journey in thought, nor in great emotion. Emotional is perhaps the last word we can apply to some of the most important events. It was more like a man, after long sleep, still lying motionless in bed, becomes aware that he is now awake. And it was like that moment on top of the bus, ambiguous. What a great story from C.S. Lewis, an apologist for the Christian faith who has drawn hundreds of millions of people into his great stories and into his wonderful apologetics. And it happens again through a leap of faith, through a letting go, through a kind of surrender, and as we talked about in a previous video, that word lacuna, a space where I'm not doing the work so much as I'm allowing someone to work on me. If you enjoyed this story and some of these other stories about Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, I hope that you can join me at the end of July for a pilgrimage to England. We are going to Oxford. We are going to the beautiful English countryside, to pubs and to places of worship. We're going to see all the sights and walk in the footsteps of C.S. Lewis, Tolkien, and G.K. Chesterton. To learn more about this amazing trip coming up this summer of 2024, go to tobpilgrimages.com.